Hello and welcome to the Empowered Learning Podcast. This is your host, Andy Bennetts. On today's episode, we welcome my good friend, Andy Smith. Andy is an international educator with over 23 years experience, an avid world traveler, the founder of IEG, whose mission is to enable teachers and students to travel and learn, a passionate entrepreneur seeking to add value and income to teachers, and a huge believer in the value of experiences. Welcome, Andy. What's up, Andy? How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. I hope you and Ashley and the boys had a great Christmas.
Yeah, we had a great time.
That's awesome. Down in Atlanta, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Actually, I have to show the picture because it's too cool not to share, right? I mean, you guys, your pajama game is on point there. I love it. Very cool. And how old's the little one now?
He is 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah, so I cannot believe that 3 months from now he's gonna be 1 year old already.
It's crazy. Time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's wild.
And Levi's your oldest, yeah?
Yeah, Levi's the oldest. He's 7, and then Lennox peeking around the corner is 5.
5. Okay, yeah. Well, I don't need to tell you that time flies with those kiddos, so enjoy every minute of it, yeah?
Great.
That's awesome. Well, Andy, you and I have known each other for a very long time. Probably of all of our guests, you and I have probably known each other almost the longest, which is kind of crazy. We went to college together back in the day, good old Adams State. We were a college back then. They've upgraded. Now they're cool like all the rest of the kids, and they're a university, but we went to ASC, not ASU. So, good times there. But for those that don't know you as well as I do, and I'm sure I will learn a lot about you as well, tell us a little bit about yourself and background, kind of your path thus far leading up to this point.
Okay. So my name is Andy Smith. I was actually born in Colombia, South America, in Medellin. I was adopted, came to the States about between like 1 and 2 years of age. In the United States, grew up in Colorado. My parents ran a summer Christian camp, Camp Hydrohaji, up in Colorado, on the western slope of Colorado. Like you said, went to college at Adams State. We met through the music department, choir, and stuff like that, and then just interacting throughout college. So known Andy for a long time. Yeah. So it's I believe that your educational kind of path and my path are interlinked. We kind of cross paths every once in a while and really hit it off because one, I see the technological side that you do is awesome, and I'm into the kind of the traveling. So after I graduated from college, I taught in Colorado for about, I think it was like 9 or 10 years. I actually then moved to Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates and taught there for 5 years. And then Ashley and I actually met in Abu Dhabi. She went over to teach as well. So we met over there, and we got married, and we had our first boy. Levi was born in Abu Dhabi. And then we moved back here to Atlanta, and we've been in Atlanta for, I believe, now 5 or 6 years, and actively wanting to go back to the UAE. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as educationally. I'm a teacher, English teacher. But when I did go to Abu Dhabi, I started meeting teachers from around the world and met some people, and started kind of really like focusing on the idea that it really only would take teachers maybe $1,000 extra a month to be able to do the things that we want to do. We love teaching. We all know teachers don't get paid as much as they should.
Yep.
And I kind of started this idea of being in the UAE. We didn't pay for housing. We didn't pay for taxes. Okay. So instantly your paycheck looks completely different.
Right.
The opportunities that came from that were unbelievable, life-changing. I've been to about almost 60 countries.
My goodness.
Traveled around, experienced culture, experienced people, many different things. Even gotten to take the, Levi on some trips. Ashley and I have been on multiple trips together, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just kind of changed my view about education. And so it
Right.
kind of developed this idea of I wanted to create this company called Innovative Education Global,
Mm-hmm.
IEG,
Mm-hmm.
um, and kind of help teachers, but anybody
Right.
to find ways to generate revenue from different sources with little to no money.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
And
That's awesome. And I'm sure we're gonna dive into IEG a little bit later, just because that's such a cool concept. And you talked about, how technology just allows us to do things that we couldn't have done, right, back when we went to college. So why are we not more connected, and why can we not leverage technology to, cross borders and that kind of stuff? So that'll be super fun. We've talked a little bit about your time in the UAE, but for those that don't know, and I'm sure we'll learn some about this as well. Tell us about teaching abroad in a different country, in a country that I think, being in the Middle East area, there's probably people's minds that are just racing with, like, oh my gosh, are you safe? Is it okay? Like, you had kids. Like, just tell us about that experience of teaching overseas, specifically in that part of the world.
well, when I moved over there, I thought I was really cool, and I thought that I was like an adventurous kind of person, and
Right.
I think that oh, it's going to be I'm like this, you know, anomaly. And then I showed up, and there was probably about 500 to 600 teachers
Oh,
that also did the same thing.
that's awesome.
Real crazy story. I got to tell you,
Yeah, go for it.
real I'm sitting at school here in Atlanta, sitting at
Okay.
school this year, talking to a teacher, and they said, "Hey, one of the teachers that's actually on my PCC team."
Okay.
We're like, she said something about living in the Middle East as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to her later on, I said, "Hey," I said, "someone said that you worked in Abu Dhabi in 2012,"
Yeah.
and she was like, "Yeah." I said, "I worked in Abu Dhabi in 2012,"
What?
and she's like, "Oh, really?" She's like, "That's crazy." She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "So, when you got there, where did you go?" And she's like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, we just went to this really nice hotel that was right by the city." And I said, "The Beach Rotana?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "So did I."
What? That's
So
crazy.
I'm working with now was
Yeah.
over there. So, um, that that little story really kind of it shows just the diversity of people that go to the UAE, and the
Mm-hmm.
UAE is in the Middle East. Yes, the Middle East has um, for Americans, it
Mm-hmm.
has a certain stereotype and all that. The UAE is completely opposite of that.
Really? Okay.
Everything that people believe stereotypically is completely opposite.
Mm.
One of the safest places, well, the safest place I've ever lived.
Really?
Um,
Wow.
and I mean, you know, people don't understand it, but like I could park my car, leave it running, leave my wallet on the dashboard, leave the
Mhm.
keys in the car, do whatever. I could go into the store and hang out and come back out and nothing would be messed with.
Wow.
In fact, if you lose something, people will most of the time someone will knock on your door with with your wallet in their hand or your phone in their hand and say,
Crazy.
"Hey, I needed to find you or whatever.
Yeah.
Here's your stuff back."
Track you down. That's insane. Wow.
Family friendly,
Mm-hmm.
an amazing place for families, amazing place for singles. It really made me feel like this is how teachers should be living their
Right.
lives.
Right.
Like
That's
really,
crazy.
it puts you on that level of like this is how teaching should be.
Mm-hmm.
I find that teachers struggle a lot. I mean,
Right.
every day they're struggling with discipline and all that, which
Mm-hmm.
those things happen over there as well. I mean, the
Sure.
school systems, but the ease of life and the things that we got to experience, it was incredible. And like I said, we are actively looking at going back and kind
Yeah.
of building in the UAE, building worldwide this concept that we're working on.
You talked about, like, that's how you envision, or that's how I guess teachers should be treated, or I mean, just it sounds like the value of education there is much more than it is here in the States. Would you agree with that?
Um, I wouldn't say that the value of
Okay.
education is different within the school systems.
Okay.
I've been teaching for about 23 years now,
Mhm.
been in multiple schools around the world and in the States and stuff. And education is in a place where it's working exactly the way it should work,
Okay.
but it's not working the way that we need it to work,
Okay.
if that makes
Expound
sense.
on that.
Because
That's interesting.
well, because I believe that the education was created to build workers, to build people that
Hmm.
went and learned what it was like to, go to, you hear the bell ring, you go to the next place. You hear the bell ring, you do your
Hmm.
job. You hear the bell ring, you go to lunch. You're developing workers, and that
Right.
that was really kind of a concept of education back in the day.
Hmm.
And now we are at a point where we're that's not helping people.
Hmm.
We have a world that is full of technology. We have a
Right.
world that is much larger for people. Um, there's more interaction, obviously, with technology. People know things more
Hmm.
about other countries and other people because they do connect with them. And so I believe that education is something that needs to be bigger. I think it needs to be less standardized testing,
Yeah.
and more exploring and learning. I try to take this idea into my classrooms and talk to kids about their passion.
Hmm.
And that passion is, what would you want to do if your parents could never tell you no?
Mm.
And if there was no money issues, if there
Right.
was, no holding you back, or your friends saying that that's a dumb idea, what would you
Right.
want to do?
Hmm.
And that can be anything. The kids come up with all these different things that they want to do, and we're not teaching them how to do those things.
Right. Right.
We go, oh, okay, your passion is, you want to be a hip hop artist,
Hmm.
but are we teaching you how to write music?
Right.
Oh, you want to be, a photographer that goes
Hmm.
around the world, but we don't teach you how to use a camera,
Right. Right.
or how to create these things. And it's these things that kids want to do,
Hmm.
that are these amazing ideas, but they're stuck in the same row that
Right.
was in the classroom in 1940 as
Sure.
it is in 2020.
Right. Right.
And
I'm
so,
assuming you've probably seen Sir Ken Robinson. He's got that schools kill creativity. Um, I love that video
I
because
think I've heard about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it likens the education system to the Industrial Revolution, right? It's
Yep.
like product in,
Yep.
product out. Everybody goes through the same assembly line. Like this is how, hey, at this point you need to learn cursive. At this point you need to do this, right? And that systematically, that system has not changed in 100 years, right? But how much has technology changed things? And if our goal as educators, our goal as parents is to prepare kids for the world, are we doing them a disservice by doing things the way that we were taught, right? Where
Right.
this is what matters the most, and
Yep.
hey, you can pursue your passions later. Like what a sad state of affairs that is our stance at this point. It's like, yeah, that's great, Jimmy, Johnny, let's push pause on that. You can get to that later when you're an adult. Will they though? Because they won't, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's very,
Yeah.
very true. Very true. One more thing on the UAE thing, and then we'll dive into a little bit more of kind of what
Okay.
you're currently working on. Language barrier. How did that work?
Well, it was interesting because when
Okay.
my first year, I was out in the Western region, which was literally like the school I taught at was about 10 kilometers from Saudi border.
Okay. Wow.
So I was out in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and very few kids spoke English. It was very difficult to interact with a
Right.
lot of them. So that was a little bit tough. Then I moved back into the city, into Abu Dhabi city,
Mm-hmm.
and there everybody speaks English. I mean,
Really?
there
Okay.
might be there's obviously some parents and some,
Mm-hmm.
the older generation that might not speak English,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, everybody speaks English. It's, if you were to go to Abu Dhabi and walk around, the basic difference in Dubai as well
Mm-hmm.
is you see some men in their kendoras and some women in their abayas, and
Mm-hmm.
that's literally the difference between the United States city and a
Really?
city in the UAE.
Wow.
And so um, yeah, the language barrier was minimal when I got to the city. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So it sounds like the UAE of all of the, Middle Eastern countries is more westernized. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say that is a fair statement. I mean, if you think of like Qatar and
Mhm.
even Saudi, I mean,
Uh-huh.
some of those cities are pretty impressive as
Really?
far as kind of that modern kind of ideal. They're, obviously they're
Hmm.
very rich. They have a lot of
Hmm.
money, and they
Right.
put their money into building up these places because they do understand that tourism is a huge thing, especially
Right.
in the UAE. Tourism is a huge thing, and
Mhm.
the oil might run out, but people will still come,
Sure.
and
Sure.
that's really what they're focused on.
That's awesome. So before we dive into IEG, because I would love to spend the bulk of our time on that. You mentioned 60 countries. I didn't realize it had been that many. So
Yeah,
that's impressive. That's a wish list of mine for sure. So tell me,
yeah.
probably, I guess, give me your most interesting country that you've ever traveled to. You can mix in some food or culture if you want to, but just like what stands out in all of those travels.
Well, for me, it was pretty cool when I was I was in Greece and I was on a subway and I looked up and there was those, remember those MasterCard commercials where it says like a list of things and then the last thing was
Priceless.
priceless.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Hmm.
So when I was on that, it said, and I honestly I can't remember the exact quote, but it was basically the idea was had the list of like how much the trip cost and all that,
Hmm.
but the
Right.
priceless part was being able to actually see the places that you only read about in your history books.
Wow.
And that really like it like clicked for me
Hmm.
because for me when I was deciding to move overseas,
Hmm.
one of my first places was I want to go to Egypt because
Okay.
to me Egypt I love mythology, I love
Uh-huh.
learning about culture and like
Right.
um I think you might have even I don't know if you were in any of those classes that we were in, but we had did some presentations of some mythology and
Hmm.
Egyptian mythology was the one that my group chose. And um, so I moved over to Abu Dhabi, started teaching, and I said, the first vacation that I get, I'm going to Egypt.
Yeah.
And so we went to Egypt and stood on the pyramids.
That's insane. That is so
And
cool.
that was something that was that bringing that history book or that
Hmm.
knowledge of understanding something but actually being there
Right.
just blew my mind.
That's in,
It was unbelievable. And so Egypt has a very big part of my love. It was crazy the first time I went was like the first trip I ever went on.
hmm.
Went met a cab driver.
Okay.
We became friends because
Hmm.
Ashley says that I find friends everywhere in the world. Like
I would
it
agree
blows
with
her
that.
mind that just I mean that's me.
Hmm.
Anyway, after being in the UAE for 5 years, we were about ready to come back home, and Ashley had said, "Oh, I want to go to Egypt." That was one of the places she wants to go, and I said that would
Uh-huh.
be awesome. Let's take the little one and let's go to
Hmm.
Egypt. So called up Ashraf. He was our driver again. Got to meet my family, and I got to take Ashley and Levi, and we had this great video of we're in a little horse and carriage going through the
Hmm.
town, and then you turn, and it's the pyramids and the Sphinx right
My
there.
goodness.
And that is one of my top cities. Amsterdam, I love Amsterdam.
Okay.
Amsterdam is an incredible city. And then Rome, Italy. Rome is mind blowing. It
Yeah.
really is. It's a mind blowing place, and to walk into the Colosseum and see this massive, massive place where kind of I'm a sports guy
Hmm.
thinking about that like this is a life or death sporting
Right.
event and
Right.
being able to go underneath it. We got a cool little tour underneath it where they house all the soldiers and the
Hmm.
animals and all that stuff, and you got to see all that, and then walking into the Sistine Chapel and looking up and seeing the artwork of one person.
Hmm.
And those two places are to me as just as magnificent.
Yeah.
So you have the massive Colosseum, and
Hmm.
then you have this one person painting,
Yeah.
and you go in there, and the way that he painted it, it looks 3D.
Yeah.
but
Wow.
it's a square building.
Yeah.
And so you go over to the pillars, and all of a sudden the pillars turn into a flat. And it was just,
Uh,
that those three places are really, some of my like my top three.
mhm.
But I don't think that there was a place that I went to. Well, there isn't a place that I've gone to that I was like, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
A place, one more place is Vietnam.
Really?
Vietnam was
Okay.
incredible. It
Huh.
was, I'm a huge, I love doing, literature based on historic, time.
Hmm.
And so like, I love teaching stuff that's related to the Vietnam War,
Mm.
and being able to go over there and see it from their perspective.
Right.
And learn a lot about it and understand, what kind of effect it has to
Right.
this day on the people there.
Mm.
Pretty life changing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Very cool. Man, we'll have to do another one where we just do the life and travel of Andy Smith, because that we
Oh man,
take an hour doing
I
that one.
would do an episode a week on every country.
I love it.
I'm telling you, I traveling. Um, it's not for everyone.
Hmm.
Understood. I understand
Okay.
that not everybody wants to travel, but I really do believe that once you leave your city limits,
Hmm.
it changes your perspective,
Right.
changes your thought process, changes who you are, changes
Hmm.
your value of humanity,
Hmm.
and really changes your concept of stereotypes.
Well,
Because
sure.
when you are bombarded in one place about, something, I went to the Middle East, and was there for 5 years and had to listen to people talking about all the atrocities that could happen to me,
Hmm.
um, from those evil people or whatever, and
Right.
me saying, look, I can walk down the street and
Hmm.
have an Emirati drive up and say, hey, can I give you a ride? And you say yes,
Hmm.
because you know that there's nothing going to be wrong. In fact, you're probably going to go have dinner with them. They're probably
Right.
going to go take you to do something. um, it's a beautiful kind of thing to be able to go into the world and understand that everybody really does feel the same way about life.
Hmm. Wow.
And we're all going through this world, and we're trying to be successful, we're trying to enjoy things, we're trying to have beautiful families, and
Mhm.
just live our lives and
Right.
enjoy our lives. And some people get that concept around the world a lot easier than us in the
Hmm.
States sometimes.
Right. For sure. For sure.
So I
So
could talk about it for
I know, I
forever.
know. Again, we'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that all of that, right? All of that passion and those experiences that you had traveling led you to create IEG, because you want that for your kids, for other
Yep.
teachers that desperately want to be able to do that, but because of just the finances of being a teacher in
Yep.
the United States, it's nearly impossible to be able to travel like that. So tell
Yep.
us about the genesis of IEG, where it is right now, kind of where it's going.
Yep. So IEG is created on the concept that everybody to me is a teacher and everybody is a learner.
Okay.
We are all teaching each other something. We are all learning something. Um, and that concept is very simple in that I believe that, especially for myself, if I'm sitting in my classroom in Atlanta and a kid says, hey, what, tell me about that, here, tell me about Egypt or something. And I start pulling out pictures and videos and showing them. All of a sudden, it's just like you just
Mm-hmm.
opened up a massive new world for them, even
Right.
though it's just pictures.
Sure.
Um, but what if those kids and adults and whoever could actually go and experience that
Mm-hmm.
themselves
Right.
and learn from that? And so the concept for IEG isn't just about teachers, it's about anybody can grow and learn to develop these ways to earn money so that you can do it. And so the concept of IEG, Innovative Education Global, is I'm not teaching you nouns,
Mm-hmm.
pronouns. Can
Mm-hmm.
I? Yes.
Sure.
But innovative education is, what do you want to learn?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, a very quick story. A girl just this year in class, we started talking about their passion and stuff. And she says, I'm very passionate about learning about the Holocaust.
Okay.
And I said, oh, that's great. I'm going to start bringing in some pictures and videos and stuff of a couple different concentration camps that I've been to. And she's like, well, where have you been? I said, well, I went to Dachau, I went to Auschwitz, I went to Birkenau. And these are, once again, places that we've read about,
Sure.
that we know about. We hear the name, we go, oh, okay. But when you walk into those places,
Right.
you feel the the terror, the destruction, the sadness, you feel those things and you learn about those things. And my goal is to be able to take someone like that and say, here's your opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost you this much. This is how you're going to get there. This
Right.
is what we're going to do. We're going to learn from this person there. We're going to meet these people here. We're going to develop, and this is still just, in my head,
Mm-hmm.
but this is a concept that we are going to create ways for anyone to be able to go and learn about these things
Okay.
at that place.
Gotcha.
And then the idea is we have created the idea of the school name will be Welcome, and we want to have Welcome as brick and mortar around the world. We also want to have Welcome as online experiences, and Welcome as in traveling experiences as well. We are really, like, I think 2024 is going to be the year where we really get to that point of saying, okay, it might be only 5 kids. It
Right.
might be only 5 adults. It might, who knows? But we are, I really truly believe that we will, in 2024, be able to show people exactly
Mm-hmm.
um, what this is all about.
That's awesome. That's so exciting because I know that you and I have been talking about this for a while, and I know that it's
Years.
gone through. You're right; it's gone through so many different iterations, and to Ashley's point, you have made friends all along the way, right? From
Yeah.
everywhere, from all the four corners of the world,
Yep.
to help you enable this and make this happen. So,
Yep.
I so want that for you, man. That would be so cool
Yep.
for this vision that you've had for so long that you're so
Yep.
passionate about to happen. So, I'm
Yep.
super excited. I will put links in the bio or in the description for people that want to connect with Andy and hear more about this to kind of help
Yep.
that vision come to be, because it is pretty amazing. And I know your heart. I know that's something that you don't want for you. You want this for other people. So we're
Right.
hoping that happens for you.
Right.
Awesome. So again, we've already established that this is going to be a multi-episode with Andy, because there's just too much to cover here. But to kind
It
of
really
keep
is. It's crazy.
right, to keep things in check here for now, we're going to transition over to our grab bag question. Everybody gets a different
Okay.
question every week, so you don't know what this one is. So hopefully there's not too many gotchas here. We got my cool buddy little spinner here to completely randomize this. So, all right, Mr. Smith, which question we're going to ask today? All right, 15. That is a new one. I have not done that with other folks here. So here we go.
Bring on the new question.
Of 20, right? So one of these got to be good. So question 15. Is that right? 15 or 14?
15.
15. All right. Oh, perfect. This will be great. So this kind of speaks to your legacy. You've got 3
Okay.
boys, you got a beautiful wife, you got these big visions. Andy Smith, if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's pretty wild because people say, like, well, when did you want to become a teacher? And I tell people probably about sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
I wanted to be a music teacher.
Uh-huh.
I got to college and realized that you have to be really good at writing music and
Mm-hmm.
knowing every instrument and doing all that. And I was just a choir kid, so I realized very quickly that wasn't going to be
Right.
my path. If I would have been smart, I would have punched myself in the face and said, "Go over to the PE department." But I chose English because I like to, I like literature and all that stuff, and so I became an English teacher.
Okay.
The real influence of that was my English teacher, Miss Lillard, who I had in high school. And then I had Cluse Daly, who was one of my English professors at Adams State. And they both were these major, major influences in my life. And one of the things that my English teacher said, she said, you will never remember the lesson that I taught about pronouns. You will never remember the lesson I taught about, grammar. You will remember me.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people whenever I talk to people and say, "Yeah, I'm a teacher," I said, "The second I say that I'm a teacher, every single one of you think of this." And I truly believe that everyone, if they really think about it, when you hear someone, oh, they're a teacher, you don't ever say, oh yeah, I remember that really mediocre teacher.
Mm-mm.
What do you remember?
The best.
The best
Hmm.
or the
Or the worst.
worst?
Yep.
That's it. You
Yep.
will always remember the best or the worst. And
Hmm.
so for me, legacy is that idea of, I know that Miss Lillard, no matter who you talk to, if they were a student of her, they will have a story.
Hmm.
They will have something that she did for them,
Hmm.
um, in their lives. And so legacy to me is that being able to teach, connect, and be that person that you might not like me. You
Hmm.
might not like what I'm telling you what to do in class, but
Hmm.
you will remember me
Right.
because I will have that impact on your life. And at some point, you will understand why
Right.
I taught that way or
Sure.
why I interacted with you that way. And I think
Hmm.
that, as raising boys in
Hmm.
this world, I want them to choose any path that they choose,
Hmm.
but I want them to be influential
Right.
around the world.
Right.
And this is part of that.
Yeah. I love it. That's beautiful. I love it. Very cool. All right, Mr. Smith, we're going to wrap up with our three key questions. Everybody gets the same three key questions. So number one is, who is a leader that you most admire and try to emulate?
Um, I mean, Miss Lillard was one of those people.
Okay.
She's one of those people that I've always very much respected in my life. Other leaders, I think that my father was and my mother were some amazing leaders. They ran like I said, they ran a camp. Um, they were the people that just everyone has something great to say about them. When
Mm-hmm.
I say that my parents are the best parents that anyone has ever had and the kindest people they ever had, people go, well, that's just because you're biased, and then they meet them,
Yeah. No, like, oh
and
yeah, you got a point.
and, and I've always just really looked up to my parents and the things that they've done. And then moving professionally, I think that I've met so many teachers and so many people that are helping people around the world that
Mm-hmm.
named names of people. Tim Lecoq is someone that I've worked
Mm-hmm.
with a lot since probably 17, and just a very different person.
Right.
He sometimes isn't quite understood because of his passion and his desire to help people is
Mm-hmm.
something that most people don't understand. And even knowing him for years, even
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't always get what he's doing
Mm-hmm.
because it's just not the norm.
Right.
It's not what people are used to
Mm-hmm.
dealing with, and understanding that, yes, I am, him, I am 100% going to give back to the world, and people don't understand that.
Right. Right. Right.
And so I
Am I correct
really,
that this is the
yep,
teacher Tim,
yep,
right? Teacher Andy,
yep,
teacher
teacher
Tim,
Tim,
right on
yeah,
those things. Yep.
teacher Tim,
Yep. Those are
yeah,
amazing guy.
amazing person. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right. So question number two. Andy, what learning has most impacted you in the last year? Could be a chance encounter, a book, podcast, conference.
Mm. You know what, man, I don't want to get super emotional with this, but
Oh,
it's wild.
okay.
So I went to a conference. It was a men's conference for the church that I'm at,
Uh-huh.
and they had the very first night. They had this thing that was asking people to come down
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't get that affirmation and that love and care from their fathers.
Okay.
Completely changed my view
Wow.
of society,
Uh-huh.
and just understanding that the world didn't have it like us.
Yeah.
Like many people don't have it, the privilege and the um just lucky to have parents that cared.
Yeah. Right. Wow.
So that
That's
was it. That was it really it got me emotional then. It gets me emotional now. Um, that that kids don't have that,
Yeah.
and so huge lesson,
Yeah, for sure.
huge lesson. How to step back from actions and realize what's really going on. People don't have what we have,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that was huge.
Yeah.
It's a big
Wow.
thing.
Thank you for sharing
Oh,
that, man. I can tell that still tugs on your heart for sure. And
yeah, it was
having,
crazy.
yep,
It was crazy.
yep. And it
I,
sounds
I
like,
came.
like I
Yeah,
said, it
go
sounds
ahead.
like
Go
we
ahead.
both had amazing dads, and that
Mhm.
we can tell our boys, till they're, till we're blue in the face that this, you don't know how good you have it to have a family that loves you, that supports you, and this kind of stuff. But to see that, and I can envision just from your story,
Yeah.
just droves of guys that are gone down that still hold that, right, and that has wrecked
Men,
their entire life. Exactly.
men, not
Yeah,
kids,
yeah.
men that got that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting there, they said, well, if you want to come down and have someone give you a hug and
Mm-hmm.
tell you, that they're proud of you. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, I'm not getting up for this. Like, I don't need that.
Right.
But then I sit there and I was watching and I was just like, no way,
Wow.
no way that there's this many people.
Yeah.
So
Gracious.
yeah, it was cool. It was
Yeah.
really cool.
Wow. Well, kind of on multiple levels, right? It opens your eyes to what other guys are just dealing with day in, day
Right.
out.
Yep.
And then it
Yep.
also kind of brings it back to, for the grace of God, we are not down there, right? We have
Yep.
an amazing relationship with our
Yep.
dads, and had that
Yep.
that affirmation and that love. So very, very
Yep.
cool. Well, thank you, man. That's going to be hard to top here, but tying back to empowered learning, I know that you are a visionary when it comes to what education can be. So I would love to get your take on how would you empower learning for future generations, whether that's your boys or just education as a whole. How would you, what would you do?
Well, I think that where we're headed with our goals of IEG and welcome schools,
Mm-hmm.
um, I truly I have said this a lot is I want to create the best education that ever happened, the best educational system, and that's a lofty goal. It really is. But my vision to empower future generations is is very simple in that we need to interact with the people that we need to interact with, and
Mm-hmm.
that could be around the world,
Right.
and so we need to expand our brains. I mean, if we look at if you look at the United States, there's two sides, and those two sides fight all the time. And
Right.
it's this this whole concept of like, well, you think this, you think that. I'm not going to get into the political side of
Mm-hmm.
it, but it's ridiculous to me
Mm-hmm.
because um we need to learn, we need to be able to experience the things that we want to experience hands on, there, face to face, interacting with people,
Right.
getting out of our little bubbles that we have created, especially teachers. Teachers know this, that we have created this generation of just people stuck on their phones,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't even know what's going around them in their classroom.
Right.
And that needs to change. We
Right.
need to build an educational system that doesn't worry about the standardized tests that prove whether a kid's smart or not. That's not who they are.
Right.
You can have a kid that'll sleep every day in class, and then you hit one day that subject that they're interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and they just, their head pops up and they
Yep.
start answering questions, and you're like, you haven't shown anything. And that's the problem with education right now,
Right.
is that kid, they're smart, they want to learn, they want
Right.
to be part of something, but if
Right.
you're teaching them
Right.
something that does not connect with them, it's not gonna help them. So my concept is to be able to create these places where any age can go and experience things, whether that be online. They don't have to travel, but they still get that interaction. or they can travel and they can see these things and can interact and can learn from those who either have experienced or are at these places, so that they can learn more about the things that they're truly passionate about.
Right. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, it ends too soon. I wish we could continue on with this, but we'll just leave them wanting more, right? So for all of the guests that would like to hear more about Andy, just reach out and we'll get him back on the docket for another episode here. But Andy, thank you so much, man. This has been super fun. Like we said at the beginning, you and I have known each other for a long time. It's kind of interesting to see how, we were here and then we kind of went our separate ways. It's been kind of one of these things where, and I feel like now we're probably closer than ever as far as doing similar things, kind of on similar paths here, different lanes, but go in the right direction, go in the same direction. So I appreciate you sharing with me, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. And real quickly, if anybody is interested in learning more about the revenue side of it, or the education side of it, or kind of teachers, if you want to be involved, you can go to my YouTube channel and see videos, but I love to just chit chat with people and do Zooms and stuff. So if you want to learn more about that and do a Zoom or whatever, that, like you said, get in contact with Andy. Andy can get you in contact with me, and I can do that. I love doing that.
Awesome.
So that is something that I do almost every night. I'm on a Zoom talking to someone.
Right. I'll even, if Andy's good with it, I'll just include your email directly in the show notes. So if people want to, they can just directly reach out to you and go from that. And it's always a pleasure talking with you. I know that you've got a million things bouncing around your brain at any time, so it's kind of fun. You never know what you're going to get with Andy, so it's always a fun conversation.
There's always something going on.
Right. That's right. Cool. Thanks again, buddy. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.